everybody, and welcome to another Factorio Mod Spotlight. I'm Exterminator, and thank you so much for joining me today. And in this one, we are covering the Colossus mod. Now, this one is very new, about 2 days old, but it caught my eye. It seems really interesting. It's basically a mod that lets you, it will automatically create blueprints and setups for you based on like production or recipe setups that you generate in something like Helm Mod. Sorry if that was a little confusing. It will make sense when I show you in a second. I do want to give a quick disclaimer though. Again, this is very new, and the dev says very blatantly here that there will be bugs. You know, it's like a brand new mod. There's probably going to be issues. But the general idea seems really cool, and the general testing I've done does seem to work. I have encountered a few bugs, but they're not they don't crash the game or anything as far as I can tell. And then it will improve from here, but I wanted to, just get it out there so, kind of help the dev test it maybe with people playing it, and just get the general word out there because it seems really cool. So how does this work? Well, it requires obviously itself, but then it does also require one other mod as an actual requirement, which is just like a Lua API thing. It's on the mod portal. And then also like an optional thing is Helm Mod, but I would basically get Helm Mod. Now it does say that Factory Planner will work as well with some source code changes. I didn't mess with this because I really don't want to be trying to change source code on stuff. But I'm hoping that as the mod develops, or maybe they work with the dev for Factory Planner, that it just won't require those changes. But we do have Helm Mod installed. So I've just done 2 test recipes in Helm Mod. I'm not really going to go over Helm Mod itself. There's tutorial videos out there for it, but I've set up a production line for 100 blue science and 100 purple science a minute, and then also yeah, I did set it to a minute. And then also a separate plastic one so we can mess with fluids for 500 plastic a minute, and also petro and some advanced oil processing and stuff too. So if we go in, well, let's get rid of that. If we go into here, or Control I is the default key for this. There's a bunch of settings. This is kind of overwhelming, and again, there are some bugs I've found with this. But this is the basic setup for Colossus. So bus, fluid bus, which doesn't really seem to have a menu. Again, this is very new. Some stuff like this isn't implemented yet. But the general thing here for belt related things, you set this up so you can change what belt you want. I'm just going to leave it basically default, but you can just change your stuff in here to, the type of things you want to be using. And then once you have that set up, so tiles, you could put tiles in here too if you want to do concrete and stuff. You can select these as you'd like. Tiling style, so if you want, there is options to actually have some default preset stylings for that. The max bundle size. So this one, it says, so this is basically how many lanes in your bus are set up are directly next to each other. So if you in a main bus, you don't really want to build more than 4 belts next to each other, because that's what an underground belt can cover. Now the max is 3, which I find odd because an underground belt can go 4. So I think it should be 4. I'm not quite sure why this is 3. And I did find a bug when I tried to adjust this. Very interesting. Okay, well, previously when I messed with this, it gave me an error in the console, but apparently now it doesn't, so that's great. But I'm just going to leave it at 3. And then bus output style, it's defaulted to down lane, and so up lane, it needs more testing, and then these are not implemented yet. But, again, they will be, but, this is probably mostly what you'll need. Create a clocked bus. So this is interesting. A clocked bus only lets in a certain amount of inputs every time period. This improves performance of the bus by removing buffers. Personally, I don't really think I would need this, but if you want to do this, you can. So you could check this, and then there's some clocked stuff in this template editor, which we'll check out real quick in a minute. Ignore recipe loops. So this is on by default. So some recipes have loops which can affect template choice. Select this to ignore loops. It's recommended that this is enabled, as it is by default. In a future release, this will be set to false by default. So yeah, again, for now, it's on. And then optimization configuration, optimize underground belts. So this is saying replace underground belts with normal belts if possible, which makes sense. And then this one, optimize underground pipes, removes unnecessary pipe to ground pairs. This was on by default. I actually turned it off because I like my builds to have undergrounds wherever possible. And then logging configuration, log timing, info to console. So this was off, but I turned it on just so we can get that information. You could check this to always show info, even if there's no errors, or an output flow rate to log file, like text, which would be interesting. I don't have that on though, and then you can just save this like that. So then we can go into, you could import Helm Mod. So like in Helm Mod, you can like create designs or whatever, and then it kind of creates like a blueprint string thing. You could import it here, or if you're just using Helm Mod in your game like I am, it, pairs with it, and you can see our two recipes here, which I'll show you in just a sec. And then template editor, this, like, I didn't really mess with this. Seems to all be clocked stuff, which I don't entirely understand, I'm gonna be honest. So like if we open this, this is for like clocking stuff. Anyone who understands circuit networks and combinators will probably understand this much better than I do. Personally, like I said, I won't really be messing with clock stuff anyway. But let's go ahead and give this a test. So I'm going to select the chemical science here, which also includes the production science, and we're going to create a blueprint. And it took just a second there. You can see that, and it generated a build for me, which generally seems decent. So if we go ahead and, blueprint this down, it's really nice because it marks the belts for you with combinators, so you know what belt's supposed to be what. And then again, this spacing is a little bit weird here. Yeah, this is like kind of weird. I maybe would adjust this. You could mess around with it, like I said. But again, it's really only doing undergrounds where it needs to. If there are pipes required, which in this particular build there's not, it would do that. Now again, this is an auto-generating thing. It's a little weird. Like, it has purple here, and then some here. I would imagine maybe due to belt limits, although I'm pretty sure you could build this longer because this is longer. So I'm not entirely sure what it's doing here. And then this is the blue science as well, which, it's made a super long thing for it. Now in my Helm Mod, I didn't actually like set up all the intermediate stuff for this. So like if we wanted to get like really crazy, we'll just go ahead and do this. So if I go ahead and do that, and then let's say we just get rid of this real quick, and then hopefully this should auto update. So we will go into here and we'll try this again. And now you can see it's made a build for everything, which is quite large. Again, the belt spacing is a little bit finicky. I'm just going to place it like up here. So you can see this makes the recipe, like all the sub recipes for all of this. And again, the belts are kind of weird, but you could adjust that, play with it if you just want some of your builds generated, or you could honestly just like wipe this whole part once you figure out what belts are which and then do it your own way. Overall, the builds seem decent. Like, they seem fairly clean and, fairly makes sense. I obviously didn't test all of it. And then we'll do the fluid one as well. Now, I've not tested a fluid one yet, so we'll see how this works. And you can see, so I told it to do like some advanced oil processing and then also plastic and lube. And I did kind of manage to like stick it into this build, but you get the idea. It is doing underground pipes wherever possible, which is what I want. Some belts are coming in, for coal, and then one is coming out for plastic, which is cool. I like it. It's going the other direction. Makes sense. All these are fed in here. So generally, I think it's just kind of a cool idea. And again, as a mod develops, it's only 2 days old. I think it will only get better from here. Probably, maybe some stuff can be adjusted and tweaked. And, the dev can take some feedback from people on like what could be changed. But overall, this seems really cool. I know this was kind of a long spotlight, but this caught my eye, and I thought it was really neat. There's been some websites and stuff where you can like take like have it create blueprints for you, but that's outside the game. I think it's neat to have it do it inside the game. And yeah, I would love to hear thoughts below. And again, if you have like feedback for it, if you play with it and have feedback for it, definitely head to the mod portal discussion page. on the mod page for this, and let the dev know. Overall, I think it's a really cool idea so far. Seems pretty well implemented. Definitely some changes that could happen, but I think it will grow from here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. There is a link in the description of this video to the mod portal page for this if you want to check it out. And if you did enjoy, a like is appreciated as well. If you're new, welcome to the channel, and feel free to subscribe to keep up with all future content. And then lastly, I know we're in our outro here. There are a bunch of settings in here. This is for Helm Mod. This is for the other mod. This is all just default. I just left all of this default. And this is all Helm Mod stuff anyway, which we're not going to cover. So that's basically it. But yeah, until next time, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll take care.